If you want to start watching women's football but you don't know where to begin, I got you. In England, you have the Women's Super League. It has become one of the biggest leagues in women's football, and you have historic clubs like Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City competing with some of the world's biggest players. The National Women's Soccer League in the US has been one of the pioneers of women's football. They produce global stars and are building some of the strongest fan cultures in the game. Spain's Liga F is home to Barcelona, one of the strongest teams in women's football. I mean, they've got 4 Women's Champions League trophies, you guys. And just like the men's game, the FIFA Women's World Cup is the biggest tournament in women's football. Nations from all over the world compete to be crowned the world champions. 2019 was a huge turning point for the sport. 2023 saw attendance and broadcast records being broken, and in 2027, South America will host the FIFA Women's World Cup for the first time ever in Brazil. If you know the Men's Champions League, the UEFA Women's Champions League is pretty much the same concept. The best clubs in Europe compete to be crowned the champions of Europe. This is the highest level of club football, with the biggest rivalries and the best players competing together and against one another. And just like the men's game, we also have the Euros, where Europe's best national teams compete. England's Euros win in 2022 was one of the biggest moments in history of the women's game, bringing millions of new fans to the sport. It was a driving force for the massive growth in popularity and the huge crowds we saw after in English women's football, both at the league and country level. Copa America Femenina is South America's biggest women's national team competition, and the AFC Women's Asian Cup is the premier tournament in Asian women's football. Now, if you only learn 5 names in women's football, start with these ones. Alexia Putellas, one of the biggest icons the game has ever produced. Aitana Bonmati is one of the best midfielders in the world right now. Lauren James, who is one of the most naturally gifted attacking players in England. Sam Kerr, who's one of the most famous strikers in the history of the game. And yes, I'm really sad that she's left Chelsea. And Trinity Rodman, a global star representing the next generation. And we all know that we can't talk about football without speaking on rivalries. Arsenal vs Chelsea is arguably the biggest rivalry in English women's football. Internationally, games between the US, Spain, and England have become some of the biggest clashes in women's football. The best part? You're not watching the finished product. You're watching a sport that is still writing its story, and it's one that you want to be a part of.